Hi friends, welcome to my channel. And so I haven't done this type of video in a long time, so I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. If this is the first time you're coming across my video, my name is Deola. I do sewing content and also some DIY as well. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do consider doing so, and also remember to share this content so other people can find my channel as well. So today I'm going to be showing you some tips, or at least today I'm going to be showing you a tip on how to finish your necklines or even areas. So this is one of the tips that I wish that someone had shared with me when I started sewing, and it will save you a lot of headache. It's one of the simplest ways that you can finish your neckline. So now the only problem is because I have seen some videos on YouTube, but they haven't really shown you the entire process, especially if you're working with a circle like a neckline, for example, and how you connect it at the shoulders. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So I have my fabric cutter already. So this is an example of what I'm talking about, guys. So for example, now with this, if you remember, there's a tutorial for this on my channel. If you remember, if you've been watching me for a long time, you would have seen this already. And this is a peplum top, and I did the finishing using bias taping. So now, for example, look at the armhole area. Look how seamless that is. Look how beautiful that is. So that is exactly what I'm going to be showing you today. How you can use bias tape to finish your armhole area or even your neckline. Okay, so you can see how seamless and how perfect this looks. So you can't really see any issues here. So very straightforward, very easy thing to do. So this is what I'm going to be showing you today. Okay, so now moving on, I'm going to be using a white bias tape. So you can either use a pre-made bias tape like this one. So they usually come in this form where you have two sides folded in like so, or you can make your own. There's been a few people that I know that make their own. I just feel like maybe it's too much of a faff for me, so I'd rather buy them. So this is what I'm going to be using today. And so this is the fabric that I'm going to be using. So I've already cut out what looks like a neckline. So let's just pretend this is the neckline. So I've cut out pretty much a circle. All right, so this is the neckline. Let's assume that we've already joined at the shoulders. Okay, so let's just assume we've done that. So now to do the neckline, which is what I'm going to be showing you in this quick tip, and how to use bias tape to finish your neckline. So let's jump right into it. And also for you to see the details, I'm going to be using a contrasting thread, so you can see all of the details as well. So my sewing machine is just right here, so I'm going to change the view of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So let's jump right into that. That's the shoulders that we've already joined, and now we want to do the neckline. So this same method will also apply to when you're doing your armhole area as well. So bear that in mind. So what we're going to do is, for the neckline, if for example you're doing it on the top, you want to finish the neckline, you want to go ahead and turn the dress or the top or whatever it is to the right side, like so. So once you've turned it to the right side, because you don't want the bias tape to show, although some people might want the bias tape to show outside. So there's a way you can also do that if you want the bias tape to show. But the method I'm going to be doing right now today, the bias tape is not going to show. The bias tape is going to end up being on the inside. It will just line the inside of this neckline. So to start off, you want to, so assuming this is the shoulder, right? Let's just assume this is where the shoulder is starting from. So where you have that shoulder joining, you want to go over that shoulder joining by maybe a half an inch. That will make sense a little bit later on in the process. So you want to go over that. So I'm going to make a mark here so you will see. Okay, so this is the shoulder. Okay, let's assume this is the shoulder joining. So you want that, the bias tape, to go over it just a little bit, so you have a little bit of an excess over there, like so. So we have that maybe half an inch excess over there, so that will make sense a little bit later on. So you want to go ahead and then pin that into place. So I'm gonna pin right here where I want the sewing. So there you go. So you want to go ahead and pin down like so, and you can also pin all the way around, so it will be a little bit easier for you to sew this into place. And then where you have the two ends, where the two ends come together, this is why we need a little bit of excess to account for how we're going to finish that off. So when we get to this point here, you want to fold one side in like this. All right, so this is the first side. You want to fold that in, so that's, we're gonna sew over it like that. Okay, so this is why it's important to watch this video right to the end. So with this one we folded it down, which is fine, and then with this one coming in, we're gonna sew over it. Okay, so it's gonna be then these two layers we're sewing together. Does that make sense? So all right, so for here we're gonna be sewing over this place like that. Okay, so that's the first bit that you need to pay attention to. So where the two ends meet, this is how you need to be finishing that side off. So we're gonna start off by sewing, we're gonna start off from here. So start your sewing from this shoulder side. It's always good to start from the shoulder side. Okay, so you want to sew it from here. So this is where the shoulder joining is, so you want to start your sewing from here basically. Okay, so start the sewing from here where the shoulder joining is essentially, and then sew all the way around. So then when you come to this point, you then have to remember to fold this bit over before you finish sewing this side. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you as I sew along anyway, so then it can help you understand exactly what I'm saying. So I'm gonna set up my sewing machine and then we'll come right back. Okay, all right, so like I said guys, you want to start your sewing from where the shoulder joining is, which is this side. Again, remember you're sewing on the right side of the garment. So assuming this is where the shoulder joining is, we're gonna start sewing from that point. So that's where this is, that's where that marking is. Okay, so I'm gonna just put that under the sewing machine like so. So when you want to sew bias tape, so the method that I'm gonna show you, you need to start sewing where the fold, sew on the line where the fold is, the fold line. That's where you need to sew. So you want to sew along the fold line all the way around for the first time, and then we'll carry on once we finish the first line of the circle. Okay, so we'll start sewing on the shoulder line. So make sure nothing is caught underneath the sewing machine so that you're not sewing your neckline together. So make sure that all the garment is free except for the part that you're sewing is on the sewing machine. So here we go. Okay, so here we go. And just carry on sewing until you finish on the other side. So we've come to where the connection line will be. So I started sewing from here and now I've come to this point. So now you want to make sure that the one that is underneath is folded. Where we haven't sewn, you fold it like so. Okay, so I hope you can see that. Just make sure that that is folded so that when you sew this top part, you're sewing it right on top of it. Okay, so it's gonna line up like that. I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's carry on sewing. And this is where the shoulder line ends, so I'm gonna end the sewing over there as well. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the first part of this sewing. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like. All right, so this is what it will look like on the underneath part, so that when you then fold it over, all you're going to see is that little overlap there. You won't see that, so it will just be seamless. So that's the reason why you need to leave a little bit of an excess when you start, I hope that is showing perfectly. So yeah, that's the reason why you need to leave that little bit of an excess, so you can fold it over like that, and then you sew the line. So you sew the other side coming through over like that. So at this point you can cut off any excess that you have. So I have that little bit of an excess there, so I can cut that off, or I can just leave it if I want to, but I'm gonna cut it off for the sake of this video. Okay, so there you go. So that's done. So now we're gonna go round. I'm gonna cut off that thread that's popping through as well. So like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you're sewing on the folded line. Okay, so that's that. So that's the right side. So if I lay it out properly now, you'll see what I mean. So that's the neckline, and that's the right side, and that's the shoulder. Okay, so now the next thing what we're going to do is make sure that we fold this bit on the inside. All right, so you're gonna fold it on the inside, and this time around you want to make sure that you turn everything inside out like so, and you're going to bring everything in. At this point you should be ironing. Don't be lazy like me, you should be ironing everything. So again, I'm gonna start sewing from the shoulder line. All right, so this time we're gonna fold it twice. So you want to make sure that everything, all the raw edges that you're seeing right now, you want to make sure that everything is covered by the fold. So you're going to fold it over once, halfway, and then you fold it over again. So when you fold it over again, that will ensure that the bias tape is now on the inside. So you fold it once, so you have the other half folded in already, which is fine. We're not going to be needing that, that's fine. So you fold it on that halfway line once. That will cover the rough edges. Yes, can you see that? So that will cover the rough edges. But if you want your bias tape to show like this on the outside, then that's fine. You can just do it like that and sew it around once, which is fine. But I don't want the bias tape to show on the right side at all. So if you want it to show on the outside, this is how you do it. You just sew it around, and that's it. You have your bias tape showing on the right side as well. But I don't want that to show, so I'm going to fold it again. Okay, so fold it again. So here, this is where the finishing is. Make sure that it's folded as well. Okay, and then you fold it again, and then you want to pin that down. So this is what you're going to have. All right, so you want to go ahead and pin that into place, and then fold down and fold again and pin that into place. And then you want to go and take that to the sewing machine and just sew all the way around. So I'm not going to bother pinning all the way around because I don't need to. But if you're a beginner and you're new to sewing, I would encourage you to do that. So this is what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to be sewing all the way down here. Okay. And that should be us doing the neckline. So I'll show you right here what I mean. So this is the shoulder line. So this is what the finishing of the shoulder will look like once we're finished. So you can see how neat that is. Okay, and this is also going to be on the inside, so you will not even see this on the outside at all. So you want to make sure you sew right on the very edge of the bias tape. It can be a little bit tricky because you're sewing a circle, but just take your time. These things are always just easy when you just take your time. Okay, so here we go. Okay guys, so this is the neckline. It is done. Like I said, once you finish sewing that, you're not going to see the bias tape on the outside. So as you can see, you cannot see that finishing on the outside, so the bias tape is on the inside. So this is where the shoulder joining is. As you can see, it's very neat to finish, and you can see the sewing line as well. So it's a very effective and yet simple way to finish necklines and armholes and anything like that. So that's pretty much it. There's nothing much to it other than that. So there you go. It's finished, it's neat, and it's done the job. So this is exactly what we mean by bias tip finishing a neckline or your armhole area. So you guys, this is the end of the sewing tip for today. So as you can see, the neckline is finished and it's looking pretty neat, if I must say so myself. If you want more sewing tips, do drop a comment in the comments box as well to let me know, so I know the type of videos to be doing in the future. So thank you guys for your support and always being here. If you're new, thank you. It's good to see you. Make sure you subscribe before you go, and don't let this be the last time you come to my channel. So thank you so much guys for your time today, and I'll see you again in my next video. Take care.